listen to that all day. I love it. I love it. I love it. I dearly do. All right, now making sure we got the mic on. All right, well, it is Father's Day. And, you know, the other day we kind of let you out early, so keep that in mind when we let you out late today, all right? You know me. I got to get my time back again. No, we're not going to do that to you, hopefully. That's why we're kind of keeping things moving. In Proverbs chapter 1 is where we're going today, and we're still in our continuation of foundations for the family. This is the 5th time. I don't know about next Sunday. God only knows whether we'll be still on the family next Sunday or not. We'll see. But for now, we are. And then we've got something coming up that I think is going to be fun, too. So just bear with us. But this is one that I think is really needed in America. I hope that, you know, we have the cameras on and everything going so that people from all over the world can listen to hear what God has to say to us today. It's a foundational truth, I promise you, that we're going to be talking about today. In Proverbs chapter 1, we'll start, I put down 20 through 23, but we're probably just going to mostly do 22 and 23. And I want us to look at how do I raise my children? If I'm a dad and I'm trying to raise these precious children that the Lord has put in my care when God has entrusted them to me, how do I raise them to be good and wise and to grow up to know the Lord and not fall into Satan's hands? Because Satan's got landmines and traps everywhere. When I was in the military, they trained us how to try to get through minefields without getting blown up. That's kind of the feeling that you have in today's world as to how it is trying to raise children in this world today. It's trying to guide them through the minefields of Satan. And we all know the thinking, or let's say the not thinking, that our children do as they come through the childhood years, the little kids all the way up through teenage, adolescence, on into their early 20s until they get 45, 50 years old. Then maybe we can relax a little. I don't know. But I heard a father say one day, he said, I wish I could somehow just put this kid in a barrel and feed him through the dung hole till he raises up. But, you know, we kind of feel that situation sometimes, kind of feel in that bind. Today, I want to focus a little bit more possibly on children who are a little older, a little bigger, teenagers kind of years, and when we get up into those years and how things is going to go. And it's really the process of the brain is so different as they go through the different stages of life, and especially as they come into those teenage years, how difficult it is. And we're gonna deal with that as we look at this today. But now listen, guys, you guys got 2-year-olds. Don't go to sleep on me, because you're gonna wake up in the morning and he's gonna be 15. All right? So just understand that before we get there. I also want to deal with one other little piece of business before we get going, and that is that little piece of business that says, well, Brother Mike don't know the first thing about raising kids because he's never had any. Well, let me tell you this. I got probably about 100 of them sitting out here looking at me right now from ages 1 to 100. So don't think for a minute that I don't know something about kids and raising kids. All right? Got that? We're ready to go. Come along, ride this train. Let's take a look at what God's got to say for us. In the book of Proverbs chapter 1, we're going to read verse 22. And I want you to kind of mark this one, because you say, well, what's it got to do with little ones? We'll find out. In verse 22 of chapter 1 of the book of Proverbs, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning. And how long, listen to this, will fools hate knowledge? You say, well, now, what's that got to do with me and my kids? I love my little kids. And preacher, you going to talk to me and tell me my kids are simple, or you going to tell me my kids are a fool, or whatever? Now, Proverbs is full of those words. Proverbs is full of teachings to simple-minded folks as well as fools. And, you know, I know you want to get angry if I say something about that, but bear with me, all right? I hope by the end of the sermon you'll understand, because teenagers are so naive, all right? Teenagers especially are so naive, they'll fall for anything, all right? I know you teenagers, don't get mad at me, it's all right, just bear with me. The first charlatan that comes down the road, and every little doofus that comes along with some new idea, and they won't listen to mom and dad, but they'll listen to them, and you'll be so aggravated. How simple is that? You don't have to do that. Listen, what about this scorner? How long will you scorner? How long will you simple-minded person? How long will you go, you Mr. Know-it-all, that you think everybody that's over 30 years old is an airhead and don't have sense enough to know how to get around. That word literally that Proverbs is using doesn't really mean some of the things that we really add to the word, especially the word fool. We try to teach our kids not to even use that word at all. But really the meaning of that word, where it comes from the Bible, is rebellious. Someone who wants to refuse common knowledge. That wants to put away the things that are trying to be taught to them about the good things, the right way to go. How long will you rebel against those who have experienced life, who are trying to teach you something? How long will you rebel against them and yet listen to every little shyster and every little doofus that comes along? And how long in our American homes are we going to continue to see this naivete, not just in the teenage years, but on through the 20s and 30s and even into the 40s, of people who are now parents who are still so simple-minded that they'll let their kids watch anything, they'll let them listen to anything, and they'll never try to correct them. The trouble with young folks and children is they'll fall for anything. The good part of it is that they will hear and soak up things even though you don't think they are. You'll think they're not hearing anything. The moms and dads, we as young parents, you as young parents, as you're teaching these children, I know you get so frustrated and so much misery in your life because you think they're not hearing a word you say, because they're not paying attention. They're looking at this and that and something else, and their minds it's going in 1,000 different directions. Put it in there anyway, because at some point, God is able to take that and God is able to use it. Trust me when I say this. God has a beautiful plan for every child and every young person, in fact, everyone, but even that child that you're having difficulty with, God has a beautiful plan for that life. You may live to see it and you may not. But before you parents and teenagers get mad at me for what I'm going to say, I'm not calling your child a fool. I'm not calling your child a simpleton. I'm not doing that. Proverbs is just talking to us about those general terms and what happens to people who are that way. We're not talking about brain power. We're not talking about IQ. You can have the most intelligent child on the block, or even in America for that matter, and they still don't want to listen to you. They want to listen to somebody else that you think don't know what they're talking about. What God here is saying is from a spiritual condition. From a spiritual condition. How long will you continue to listen to everybody else except the people who really love you the most and really are trying the hardest to tell you the real things of life? Trust me, kids, when I say this. You don't really know about anything until you've had a chance to experience it. Listen to those who have experienced. Listen to those who've seen it. Our kids, our children, especially our teenagers, they need a lot of help if they're going to grow up to become an adult with wisdom and strength to become what God and you and me want them to be when they grow into adulthood. First of all, how do we do that? How do we prepare them? How do we get there? As I sat mulling this over and thinking and praying, oh God, what is the first step? The first step is real simple. Do not wait. Do not wait. You want to jump in there when that kid is still in mama's womb, when that child is still hearing things with a muffled sound from outside the womb. Let them hear. Let them hear the church songs. Let them hear the Sunday school teachers. Let them hear things that are going on around them. Believe it or not, they do. And they react to it. Some of you ladies who are with child or have been with child, you know what it's like when you're in a room and somebody hollers real loud. Does that kid not jump inside of you? Do they not move sometimes in reaction to certain sounds or things that's going on around them? Certainly they do. Our children need to be taught from the womb to the tomb. They need to be learning. They need to be hearing, but they need to be learning the right things. There's no time to lose. Oh, I'll just wait a little while. Those little things they say, those little things they do, it's kind of cute. You know, we just kind of mom and dad laugh about that because they, throw out there that little smart aleck remark, and you think that's kind of cute. They say that little thing that they heard Daddy say the other day when he mashed his finger, and we just kind of laugh about that. Don't we do that? No, don't do that. You need to start teaching them immediately. If you hadn't already started, don't wait another moment. Don't wait till Satan has had time to get into their minds with crazy ideas and get into their minds with filth and smut, and then it can be too late. The Bible tells us to train up a child into the way that he should go. Train up a what? A child. Train up a child. Start when they're little. Start when they're babies. Do you know that a child will come into this world lying? Well, sure they will. Sure they will. They'll start squalling and screaming and crying at something that didn't even happen. They'll be hollering at you like they want a bottle when they really want something else. They really want you to hug them or hold them. Don't ever think for a moment that a child's not learning from the moment they come into this world, if not before. Yeah, your child's got those nice little happy-go-lucky little fun times to go through. That's good. Let a child be a child. I'm all about that. I don't think we ought to treat child like adults, but I think we need to teach them, but we need to teach them while they're little, while they're small, while they're still pliable, flexible. Here's what a kid thinks. A kid thinks, well, just let me do my own thing. I'm fine. I'll learn. I'll get it. I'm smart enough. I can learn everything. I remember Mr. Ward Richardson had a sign in his garden. Some of you have ever been by there remember it too. He called it the Garden of Weeding. Now, that's a good deal. I'll never forget it. What does that mean? That means I got to be in that garden weeding. Why? Because if I don't, then weeds is going to grow up. You better believe if you stay out of that garden long enough, you're going to see that it grows up. How long can you let a hoe lay in the shed before it's too late to get in the garden and you just got to get a disc and a tractor, all right? Think about that for a moment, and your child's life is the same way. You may even have less of an opportunity to do that with your children than you do with anyone else. For not very long can you wait before that child is already picking up on those ugly things and those bad things. They're listening. Today we have committed ourselves. I hope you have done that, dads, moms. I hope you've done that. I hope you've committed yourself to make sure that our kids are taught and raised right. But many times I hear this phrase, I just want my child to have better than I had when I was growing up. You know what? That sounds like a good thing, doesn't it? It sounds like a wonderful thing. But the problem is that too many of us are working our fingers to the bone when all we get is bony fingers and radical children. Grow up teaching them there is such a thing in life as responsibility. They need to know there's a responsibility. We need to know that their greatest need is important, not just their greatest wants. You don't need to be saying, I'm here, I'm committed as a parent. I'm going to make sure my kid's got everything he wants. You have just signed a warrant for them to have a miserable life. Because what's going to happen is our kids want to be free. They want to have no responsibility. They want to run around here and do what they want to, when they want to, anytime they want to, with anybody they want to. They want to grow up soft and a free lifestyle and just don't have to worry about any of this other stuff. What's going to happen when they become adults? Who's going to be that sweet little grandma with a little paddle with a cushion on it that's going to take care of them when they get grown and when they get to be grown folks and adults? We understand. Listen to me. God understands. God tells you that a person who grows up in that kind of atmosphere is going to grow up to be an adult with a mind who feels entitlement rather than responsibility. They're going to think because mom and daddy gave me everything when I was growing up, then when I get grown, the world owes me everything too. It's not that way. Now, you may think so, and some of your other friends may think so, but it's not for real. Out in that world today, if you want to be free of responsibility, let me tell you how to do it. Just go out here and rob somebody or kill somebody, and they'll put you in jail, and then you won't have to worry about anything. You can just sit up in there with no responsibility. You won't even have to worry about where your food's coming from. They'll unlock the door and let you go to the cafeteria and then go back in there and crawl in your bed. The truth is that if you want to have true freedom, if you want to have real freedom to enjoy your life, kids, hear me. Grow up understanding the more responsible you are, the more freedom you really do have. Oh, Mom, Dad, y'all don't trust me. Amen. I sure don't. Trust is not given. Trust is earned. Earn trust. Show Mom and Dad you are trustworthy. Mom and Dad, don't just hand them everything and feel like you're hurting their feelings and you got to quit that and do something else. That's why the scammers and the advertisers of the world have been so successful with leading our kids down the wrong paths. They love for you to raise up your children in that kind of environment where you make them feel like they deserve a break today. Oh, they deserve everything. They deserve this. They deserve it. Why? Why? What makes you so special above everybody else? These easy money, easy get rich quick schemes, these folks will fall for lotteries and they'll fall for gamblers and they'll fall for even these old Pied Pipers that come along running their mouth telling them they deserve it all today, and then they wind up sacrificing their future on the altar of some kind of gambling purveyor or some kind of guy who's just getting on the television and saying, "Call me Alabama and I'll make you rich." Now, that's tough, ain't it? Stay in your lane, preacher. They'll grow up not to see the pitfalls and the consequences until the hole is too deep to get out of. And they've already got in that mess. And how do they get out? Because they've let Satan destroy their lives. They've let Satan destroy their future. And you and I then start to cry and moan about another generation that has been lost. Another generation of people who have fallen and now are suffering in their lives the hell of a no-count life because they don't understand responsibility. A bunch of irresponsible, gullible kids rise up, and it's all this, "Yes, baby, give it to me today, baby," and the parents just fall for anything and give them anything, and then they grow up not understanding what it means. That if I want it, I'll earn it. I'll get out here and make it for myself, and I won't owe anybody for it. All this easy credit mess comes because we have given and given and given and made it easy and made it free. We need to help them understand that you earn your way in life. And the more freedom you want, you get out here and earn it. The responsibility you have for yourself is going to determine how much freedom you have to move in this old world today. We have too many folks today who have grown up that way. And today, any old charlatan that comes along with an evil mind and a controlling personality comes along and grabs them up about the time they go off to college, and then their lives is just thrown away after you've spent your lives trying to raise them up. Our teens today are under more pressure of temptation than you and I as adults have ever known. They are faced with decisions when they are still just babies that you and I have never really had to face in our lives. Pressure to conform. The main reason we have so many teenagers today, the main reason we have so many young adults today who are not working, who are not doing anything but looking for a loophole and a way out and an easy way to sit and watch television all day, is because they have not learned in their young life that they are responsibility for their life, and not Uncle Sam, and not the chow lines and the free food lines. We're responsible for our lives. And that's why they've grown up that way. And the number one killer of our teenagers in America today is drugs and bullets. Proverbs 22 verse 3. 22 verse 3 says, A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. But the simple pass on and are punished. There is a consequence. There is a consequence for living that life of just go along to get along. I'll just pass on. I'll just move along. I'll just float with the flow. That's why the horrible danger our kids face today is when we let them grow up without responsibility, without learning that there's consequences for being irresponsible. We need to be firmly teaching them the dangers of the evil that's out there awaiting them in this big wide world of ours. Then we let them run without supervision. We turn them loose. Kids, oh, I want to be free. Mom, Dad, just trust me. I can make the right choices. I can make the right decisions. Don't worry about me. Let me share something with you. You know it. I don't have to say it, but I want to remind you on Father's Day. Satan is right out there with a big old meat grinder that's killing and destroying our generation of irresponsible, simple-minded kids because they don't know how to work. They don't know how to be responsible. They don't know accountability because they've never been given the chance to experience it. No, it's not easy. Yes, it's easier to do it yourself. But what's that kid going to learn? That if I'll just stand back and don't do it, if I'll argue long enough, finally Mom and Dad will give in and they'll let me get by without doing it. If I'll be stupid and run around here like an idiot, pretending that I don't hear them, that I don't see what they're saying, then sooner or later Dad's going to say, I'll just go on, I'll do it myself. Don't do that. Every time you do it makes it harder for you to not do it the next time. Come on, kids, I love you. Trust me, I love you, I love you, I love you. But the truth is, I love you too much. I love you too much, teenagers. I love you too much, kids, not to tell you. The bridge is out. The bridge is out, and if you keep going toward that abyss the way you are, the bridge is out, and if you're not prepared to take care of your own self, if you're not prepared to make good choices, if you're not prepared to be responsible for your own choices and decisions and to make your own way in life, then you're nothing but fodder for Satan's hellhole and a life without hope. Trust me, we as adults are all going to give account to God for how we have raised, how we have influenced the kids around us. And the worst thing in the world we can do, adults, is that go along to get along. Just let them go. That's easier than doing anything for them. Oh, they're just being kids. Do you know why there's so many children in these universities today that are living a life of drugs, sex, and alcohol? Because the parents just kind of laugh, well, they're just kids. They're just being kids. And we even promote that kind of lifestyle by sending them off to college with the idea in their minds that we don't mind if they are just going. Our kids are going to do that when they go to college. Yeah, they are, if you let them. If you don't do anything to stop it. We haven't done anything to stop it. And then we rear back watching television in the evenings when they go about killing one another and shooting one another and getting into trouble and getting put in prison. We start fussing, well, won't somebody do something about it? You could have when they were kids. You could have when they were little if you would have. They're not just being kids. They're not just being kids. They're going down that wrong path as little independent hellions that are doomed to an eternity to spend in hell. Because you and I, as adults, are too irresponsible to take the time and put forth the effort and exercise the patience that it takes. Every adult who opens up that lifestyle in their child's life, who upholds that lifestyle to just say, well, you know, just go on, do what you please, I'll talk to you later. We're going to suffer the consequences for those decisions. But they're going to suffer damnation for that decision. Please, teach your kids the lifestyle that you live does make a difference. You may not know this, or you may know it and hadn't thought about it. Not my kids, surely not. Every kid that grows up, especially through adolescence, thinks he's bulletproof, going to live forever, but they're really just like some kind of little, as Proverbs says, a little simpleton. Just going through life, flying through life, full speed ahead, with no regard for what's out there, just living life for the fun they can have without knowing that around the next curve, Satan has already set the trap that's going to destroy them in one night, in one swallow of a pill, in one opportunity that they go into the bedroom and they use themselves for something that should not ever be. They start to practice recreational sex rather than responsible sex. and their lives goes down the tube, and they grow up, and the rest of their lives they pay for it. Teach our kids. Remember, they've never experienced life that you've seen. Maybe, I hope, that you've never made those bad choices that put you in that condition, but you've seen others who have. You don't want your child to do that. Our kids just want to have a ball, just going through life, not worrying about anything. You and I think that'd be wonderful. Really? Teach them. Teach them. How do I know all this stuff? Well, I know some of you kids don't believe this, but one day I was that teenager. One day I was, and I grew up. I've experienced, I have seen others whose lives is a living hell today, 50 years later, 20 years later, 70 years later, because of a dumb decision that they made when they was 15, 16, 17. Proverbs 13, verse 1. Proverbs 13, verse 1. Kids, listen to me. A wise son heareth his father's instruction, but a scorner heareth not rebuke. Listen. Listen. You may think Dad doesn't know anything, but trust me, he does. He does. He's seen it. He's experienced. Well, my kids just won't listen. They just won't listen. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 12 says, a scorner loveth not one that rebuketh him, neither will he go unto the wise. Meaning that he's not seeking to hear it. He doesn't want to hear it. He wants to hear life is just a big old bed of roses. Well, listen, even roses have thorns. Oh, Dad, I hate you for getting on to me. I don't love you. Don't listen to that. That's a lie. He does love you. He does love you. Oh, you don't think he's listening. He's hearing more than you think. I just want to be free. Really? You know what? An airplane wants to be free too. But how far do you think it's going to fly after you turn it loose and let it fly on its own? Not very far. It crashes and burns. Kids, what happens? What happens if I don't listen to Mom and Dad's instructions? What happens if I go on through life and just tell Dad to keep his mouth shut and leave me alone? Here it is. Here it is. Proverbs says, whoso. That means anybody, whosoever despiseth the word shall be destroyed. That's not hard to understand. Real simple. Put that into your life. Did I say that? No, God did. The very one who loves you even more than you love yourself, whether you believe it or not. The one who created you and who gave you life, and the only one who can give you another breath. The one who is giving you the consciousness that you enjoy right now to be able to stand up and get up and go. Who is that? God, our all-loving, our all-knowing Father. Remember this, kids. You ready? Adults, take it to heart. Listen to. You can laugh your way into hell, but you'll never be able to laugh your way out. Make the right choices. Make the right choices. To the one who won't listen, you can't tell me anything. God says you're doomed for destruction, like it or not. That's from the Word of God Himself. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 22 says, fools hate knowledge. Fools hate knowledge. Are you a fool? Or you just act like one? You're the only one that can fix that, kids. You're the only one that can fix that. Dad and Mom can try. Grandma and Granddad can try. Uncle Mike and Aunt Davine can try. But you're the only one who can make that determination right now whether or not you're going to live life as a fool. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7 says, the fear of the Lord. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Don't be a fool. Verse 8 of Proverbs 1 says, my son, hear the instruction of your father, and forsake not the law, that is the word of thy mother. A wise man maketh a glad father, but a foolish man despiseth his mother. How strange is that? It's truth. It's truth. No, let me step back to mom and dad for just a moment. Learning from you doesn't end when they're grown. Learning from you doesn't end when they're grown. When they have decisions throughout life, especially their young life as an adult. A wise man still listens to his wise parents all through life as long as God gives them to him. Parents, please hear this. Parents, moms, dads, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up, no matter how old they are. As long as you're drawing breath and as long as they are living, don't give up. Too much is at stake. Too much is at stake. Don't be a fool. Listen to your mom and dad. Mom and dad, don't give up. Keep teaching. Never stop. Remember, though, we teach by both words and deeds. Kids don't just learn from words. They listen a whole lot more to what somebody does than what they say. Keep in mind, we all do, even after we are grown. Your children learn a whole lot more from watching you than they do from listening to you. And obviously, the worst thing in this world is for children to grow up in a permissive household. The worst thing in the world that a child can do is grow up in a permissive household. Our society tells them, it's all right, don't worry about the consequences, everything's okay. There's not going to be any consequences anyway. If there's very little, you'll never feel it very much. When our kids grow up and they don't see sin punished, what's going to happen? What's going to happen when they grow up without seeing the consequences of bad decisions? Oh, they learn quickly that they can get away with it. They can learn quickly, they don't have to worry about it. And then what happens? They push the limit a little farther, and then a little farther. And the lostest, that's a bad word, the lostest kid in the world is a kid who doesn't live within parameters. They go around this whole world confused, without any understanding whatsoever. When dope pushers are arrested today and they're back on the street tomorrow, what are we telling our kids? What are we telling them? What's the lesson? There ain't no consequences to what you get, what you do. Ain't no consequences for your bad choices. Just go ahead and do what you want to. Don't worry about it. Ain't going to matter. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11 says, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the hearts of the sons of men is fully set to do evil. How true. When people don't see sin swiftly punished, when your kids don't swiftly feel the consequences of bad choices they've made and things that they have done, then it becomes okay for them to do anything they please as far as they're concerned. There's another simple statement from the Bible that says, smite the sinner, and the simple will learn. Men learn more by seeing evil and sin punished by any other way. Swift punishment is the best deterrent in the world to future crime. Let your teenagers see there are consequences. You say, well, I try to whip them. No, let me take it a step further. At least once in a while when you're going through Carrollton, just take a little diversion. Just drive by the jailhouse. Take them in and let them see if you want to, but at least let them see those barbed wire fences that keeps those people in those places. Get a chance, drive them by a prison sometime and let them see. Don't guard them and shield them from seeing on TV these guys who are being executed because of bad choices, who are being imprisoned because of bad choices. Let them see it and then draw it to their attention and show them and tell them. Show them that bad choices have bad consequences. Show them. Let them see. It'll get into their mind even better than anything else. They'll learn from what they see, because in our entertainment world, in our video game world, they're seeing that the winner is the one who kills the most folks. The winner is the one who gets away with the most evil and the most bad choices. In that circumstance, we need to teach our kids, because in the entertainment world that they're looking at today from Hollywood, They're seeing that alcohol, that they're seeing that drug abuse, and all of those things at least have no consequences, and they even glamorize it. Or at least they make it where it's funny to them, and they make them laugh. What you laugh at today, you're going to think is okay tomorrow. We need to understand to teach our children, to let them see the real finished product of the brewer's art. We need to show them the real end game of what happens when we make bad decisions. Don't shield them and cover up the ugly all the time. Let them see that there is ugly out there for folks who do evil. Let them see it's serious. It's not funny. It's not glamorous. Sin is serious business. And God never overlooks it. All right, I got the finish line. You ready? Proverbs 13:20. Proverbs 13:20. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. Kids, listen. Parents, listen. It does matter who you hang out with. It does matter who you choose as friends. Parents, guard who your children hang out with. Make certain that he's in a Sunday school class, hearing Sunday school, hearing Bible lessons. Make sure he's in Bible school. Make sure he's in preaching on Sunday morning. Make sure that your kids have heard the Word of God. But make sure when he goes to his friend's house that his friend's folks are Christian too. Make sure that if a kid's going to go spend the night with little Joe's mom and dad, that dad ain't sitting up there in the lazy boys sipping beer and drinking junk and talking ugly and acting like an idiot, because he's going to see that and he's going to think it's okay because dad let me do it. And for heaven's sake, folks, at home, make sure when that young'un opens that refrigerator, he don't see anything but wholesome stuff. Yes, dads, moms, ask, where are you going? Oh, he'd rather not tell. Why? Because he don't care. He's going to go wherever the devil leads him. It don't matter. Ask, where are you going? And if you don't let him, if you don't like where he's going, don't just carelessly let him go anyway. Refuse to let him go anywhere and everywhere he just wants to go. Make sure that you know, never do those things in front of him that you don't want him to do. Never, ever. All right, go ahead. Take them. Hear me again. Take them to church. I didn't say send them. I didn't say take them and put them out the front door. Take them and let them see you singing the songs of Zion. Let them see you listening to the preacher. Let them see you knowing that the Word of God is real and truth and worth listening to. Do your best. Do the best you possibly can under the auspices and the guidance of God to not let other idiots destroy your child. Be careful where they go and who they hang out with. Know what they're watching. Know what they're listening to. And for heaven's sake, don't yourself watch and listen to stuff that you don't want them to watch or listen to. Don't ever listen to something or watch something that you wouldn't be perfectly comfortable sitting on the couch with Jesus and watching it and listening to it. Finally, I'm done. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 23. Told you it'd be 2 verses. I've got one of them down. I'm going to get the other one. Turn you at my reproof. God says, in other words, listen to me. God says, turn when I tell you to. And God says, now, listen to what I'm going to tell you. I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. What is God saying? God's saying, talk to me. I'm saying, parents, listen. You cannot raise those children alone without God's help daily. Daily. every day, minute by minute. All of your preaching and teaching that you do to them cannot make them turn one way or the other in the end. Pray. Pray. Pray without ceasing. Pray. Come before God. I got one final word I want to share with you. This one probably just goes to the heart of everything. Parents, some of you sitting in this room right now have kids that didn't turn out the way you want them to. They're grown. They never darkened the doors of the church, or maybe they've done even worse. I don't know. But if you've got children who've gone bad, I want to share something with you, please. Do you remember there was another dad, another father, who had 2 children? And he put them in a garden and he gave them everything. Everything. He gave them everything. Perfect and beautiful and wonderful. And they went bad too. They made bad choices. But you know what? God didn't give up when Adam and Eve went dumb. God didn't give up on them. God didn't force his children to make the right choices, though he could have. You and I cannot. We can only try. We can only give it our best effort. I hear parents all the time saying, "Preacher, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong?" I don't know. I'm sure along the life path with those kids you made bad choices and bad decisions and missed opportunities that you had to teach them some things. But in the end, all you can do is your best with God's help. Be a godly parent. Never give up. And the rest of it is up to them. Will you stand as we have a moment of invitation? We're going to have a song, and I want you to listen to the words. I want you to share in the words. I want you to mean them when you sing them. Maybe you need to just take this quiet moment in God's house before God and just say, "Lord, help me." He knows what you're talking about. He knows what you're going through. He knows what you're facing. Kids, listen, there ain't nobody, I'll say this without any equivocation, there ain't nobody in this world can love you any more than I do except God and your parents. And every word I've spoken after prayerful consideration before God. Please hear what I say. Please listen. Please listen to Mom and Dad. Please follow their leadership. Follow their words. Parents, do your best. Do your best. Pray, pray, pray as we sing together. 4:23. Oh, God, I need you every hour. Nobody can say that like a parent. I need thee every hour. Most precious Lord. Help me, God. Help me, God. I can't do this alone. I so thank you for your time and your precious patience. Please hear what I've said. Heed it the best you possibly can. And lean on God, because our understanding will not fit. Eddie, will you dismiss us with a word of prayer?